Hello, everyone. So my name is Tom Ellson. I'll be doing a little bit of a presentation on careers in penetration testing, and specifically career paths in penetration testing. So who am I? I head up the offensive security team at JUMPSEC, CREST certified in infrastructure tester, and I have specialized mostly in simulated attack and collaboration with detection and response teams, and working with defensive teams. So I thought I'd start this presentation off a little bit differently and talk about my career path personally, and talk to you about how I started out and the steps I took to get to where I am today. So I started at university. I did a sandwich degree, I think they used to call it, where it's a sort of 4-year thing, and you take a year out to work in industry. And I spent that year doing IT support, second line support, desktop support with users, and going through and changing users' passwords and fixing users' computers. So I understood like a baseline understanding of, or had a baseline understanding of exactly some technical capability in that area. It wasn't honed in on cybersecurity at this point. It was really vague and really broad at that point, and that was at uni. I'd graduated from uni with an information security degree. So I did a bit of, my degree was very theory led, which I think a few students may be able to relate to. And I think it was heavily focused on compliance driven information, NIST, etc., GDPR, etc. So that was where I was at with my university degree. It wasn't the standard ethical hacking or the standard cybersecurity degrees that they do. I don't know if the ethical hacking one was around back then, but it's likely that I just didn't choose that route. Then I progressed into more of a graduate scheme and took on a bit of an associate role. So that involved coming in as a junior, coming in as an associate, learning the ropes. I took some of the knowledge that I knew from that sandwich year and some of the knowledge I took from the university course, and then was able to apply that knowledge and learn from other individuals in order to progress into a position where I was delivering penetration testing to a variety of clients, etc. And I was able to get some of those certifications that Stu quite rightly mentioned are quite important in this industry and in this career. And then progressed to a bit more of a cybersecurity consultant. So I did a lot more of the consultancy piece, working with clients and helping to improve their security posture, the validation of their defensive controls, etc. And then that sort of brings me up to today, where I sort of took the lead on the offensive team at JUMPSEC. So you can see from that sort of attack path, that sort of career path, that there's been varying different roles. And obviously I didn't start out in cybersecurity. I did do a university degree in cybersecurity, but it was more compliance led. And when I went to uni, to be honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I came out and got in with the penetrator and as an associate, and that sort of honed my skills, and that I had that passion and that fire to want to deliver that sort of work. So hopefully that sets the context a little bit for this presentation. And I thought giving my backstory might help to validate and show you the sort of career paths that are possible. Just move on. So penetration testing in 2021. So I've put some interesting facts down here, which I found quite interesting. So I think, and they relate directly to penetration testing careers. So quite rightly, there is a significant shortage of InfoSec professionals in all disciplines at the moment. And as organizations have become more complex and more vast, I expect this to remain the same. I think quite an interesting quote that I was looking at was that last year, penetration testers, or last year, the year before, penetration testers were ranked one of the 3 most in-demand jobs in this growing cybersecurity market. So that's just a staggering fact, to be fair. And in addition to that, penetration testers make up and now the most sort of regarded amongst the highest, highly regarded InfoSec individuals. And penetration testers especially threat-led penetration testers that I've seen more recently, are the forefront of technical expertise, and they do the sort of stuff that relates directly to real-world adversaries. So something that would help you validate your defensive controls. I think they're four quite distinct facts and quite distinct comments that I'd make when I talk about careers as a penetration tester. So what's important? So for me, and now I've taken a bit of, when I was applying for various jobs and moving through my career, I was taking that approach of trying to validate myself and trying to make myself employable. So as Stu said, again, I did the certifications, I did a bit of background and technical, ensuring that I had the right technical expertise. But, you know, an absolute paramount thing is passion in this industry. I think if you've got that drive and you've got that passion, excuse me, you know, it goes a very long way. Passion brings with it an individual who's keen and green to learn about new technologies and ultimately, you know, how to break them, really. I think being a penetration tester doesn't always require somebody to come from a cybersecurity background or course. As I said, I came from a network support sort of background initially, but I found security interesting and developed a passion. I think always striving to learn something new is very important. Early days of your career, it's important to learn as much as you can. That's not saying you won't learn on the job, because being a penetration tester or consultant every day is a learning day. I know that's a very cliche thing to say, but it absolutely is. It absolutely is true. And getting knowledge and a background understanding of, you know, infrastructure and IT related services, etc., and process. This is something that, you know, having something to fall back on, having something to have those conversations about, having that distinct technical knowledge, be it networking or desktop support, server support, whatever, is great and will look great to individuals who are hiring and want to ensure that you've got some level of technical capability if you're going in at sort of entry level, etc. Networking, again, speaking to like-minded individuals. I think when I first began my career, I didn't really understand the value of this. And as it's progressed, I think it's one of the best ways to get to know people, you know, through conferences and talks and workshops and everything. And the passion and speaking with people, you know, it builds a fire underneath you. And the passion is, as I said, is everything really. One of the most important factors. I think, you know, keeping up, as with every career path, I think it's vital to maintain that you know what's happening in the industry, but specifically in cybersecurity and within penetration testing, keeping skills and knowledge up to date with the latest trends is absolutely important. I mean, it's paramount. And I've missed one off there actually in my rush to get these slides across, but I think it's never too late to get into cybersecurity. I know that's very cliche, never too late to change careers, but you know, I've worked with people from various backgrounds at various stages of their careers, and there's always opportunity for somebody who's keen, has that passion to get into cybersecurity and into penetration testing. I've worked with a lot of veterans, etc., that have come in, some self-taught, some that, you know, are fresh and don't have that background knowledge. But yeah, I think that's the important pieces for me, and I think that would help. That was what some of these things I wish I knew before, especially in the networking piece and etc. Before I got into before I tried to progress in my career, and it's something I've learned along the way. I think it's quite important, hence I've spoken about it here. So yeah, we touched a little bit on it. Stu touched a little bit on it earlier, actually, about certifications. Now, I think certifications are great, and as Stu rightly alluded to, like there are things without said certifications that you won't be able to do because you won't fit to that framework, etc., or you won't be able to deliver that work. And in addition to that, you know, gaining experience and honing on that craft is important too. You know, you can have X certifications to validate your technical capability, but it's about upkeeping those certifications, as Stu rightly said again, to ensure that you can back, you know, you've got something to back you up when you're looking for employment, if you're looking to move into another role or a role that's above or, you know, a more senior role, etc. So I think yeah, certifications and qualifications are great, and you get that's a lot of the time people ask, you know, what qualification should I go for? What should I get? Or what certification should I get? I don't think there's any right answer to that, to be honest. I think we are on a CREST course. I'll say, you know, CREST, get the CREST exam, but like, you know, it's one of those things that I think it helps to validate technical capability. And there are, you know, courses out there and things like that that help you with training, but I think a lot of the time, mainly, it's to validate that competency. So did a little bit on career paths here as well. So as I've said, you know, it's the career path to penetration tester is not it's not linear. It's you know, it's the approach is a very interdisciplinary field. I think, as I've said, there isn't really a specific career path you need to follow. That being said, for graduates and students in the audience, you know, a degree in computer science, computer information security, cybersecurity, ethical hacking, something similar will help lay that foundation for that career. These are often, you know, broad on perspective of like application development or software development, software design, programming, administration, etc. And for many in this field, they begin their career in a more general area of IT and tech, and eventually with that specialism to move into penetration testing or into cybersecurity. So I briefly touched on it earlier with myself, but there are sort of entry-level roles, mid-level roles, advanced level roles, and then management level roles that I won't go too much detail into. But in essence, you know, you come in or you go in as potentially a sort of associate, progress up to maybe a penetration tester or a consultant, and into maybe a principal consultant or a senior consultant, and then maybe a managing or directing consultant, etc. So, you know, there are those career gaps there, and they are, you know, there are the points that you can jump, and there are points where you can progress, and there's clear progression definition in some organizations whereby you can see people that have that role and have come from the role you're in, and as such you can see that step on the ladder. That being said, though, you know, there are options and opportunities once you get to penetration testing to potentially use that craft, that technical capability that you've honed in, that you've developed over the last X amount of years or X amount of months, etc., and move into a role whereby you go internal or you go into a bigger organization that's potentially not consultancy, or maybe does internal pen testing or something like that, where you take maybe a security engineer's job or a security analyst or something like that, and you go in and you validate, you come in, you bring your offensive knowledge, you bring your technical offensive capability inside, and from the inside you improve their security posture. No doubt they'll go out to other vendors, etc., to do their pen testing, but you know that people and bigger organizations and are crying out for consultants and for individuals with technical offensive capability. So I think, you know, there are other positions open to job seekers with the same educational backgrounds, as I've mentioned a couple of them, but equally go internally is an option as well on your career path. I think, as I said, that's quite a common thing. I think I've been seeing, especially personally, is then you get more senior into your career, individuals are going into larger organizations and working as an internal either consultant or internal tester or internal member of staff to help uplift that their security posture and help to improve the way they work and their defensive capability, etc. Beyond that, obviously, cybersecurity offers a path beyond penetration testing. So, you know, if you get to a level whereby you're at principal or management consultant, etc., director consultant, there is always the opportunity to go up again to, you know, heads of departments, information security officers, chief information security officers, etc. So I think, you know, there's as I said, and I want to really touch on that, but there's no real distinct pathway. There's no one path. You will take this path. It is literally very open, and there's lots of branches that would allow individuals to progress in their career and also to move into different roles if they found that they were better suited to that role, or they enjoyed that role more. So that's pretty much it. I don't know how long I've covered there, Debbie. Maybe it's been 15, maybe it's 10, but I think thank you very much for that. I think hopefully that's provided some context to career paths and my view on that. And I think hopefully that should hopefully give some people some ideas about what they can do to take that first step if they're looking for that first step. If they're looking for that movement piece, then hopefully that gives some ideas around what certifications or what steps they can take in order to progress that career to another level.